I was in the paper shop this dinner time, getting some licorice all sorts. The man serving me said, "I wish I was like you." Shouted out to the woman, "I wish I was him. Always buying sweets, never gets fat." I said, "Yes, I'm lucky. Only I cycle." She said, "Yes, I seen you. You work for the parks department." He said, "Weren't you a lollipop man once?" I said, "No." He said, "I thought I'd seen you. Stood at the crossing." Racks and racks of magazines. Always men in there looking. Janet was dressmaking, doing the twins' christening frocks. I said, "They'd put on you, Janet. Before these frocks, there's been no word for long enough." She said, "Well, whose fault's that?" Apricot satin, with little buttons down the front. Mr. Trickett, nosing around this afternoon at what he calls grassroots level, ordains a blitz on the hedges behind the playground. Privet, mostly. All stinking of urine and clogged up with every sort of filth. Sheaths, jam rags, a shoe, tights, sick, dog muck. They come over the wall on a night, after the woodman's turned out, lie down drunk in all that filth and stench, and do it. They do it in the playground too, laid over one end of the slide, where the kiddies slide along with their bottoms, and just chuck the evidence down anyway. I'm nearly finished when Mr. Kumar stops with his barrow and brushes, and we walk back to the yard together. He's from Bombay, so he takes all this filth in his stride. Born a street sweeper, apparently. What they call an untouchable. Though he's very neat, you'd never think it. Going on about getting his wife over from India. Got some decent digs in the Brudenells, only some person from Liverpool comes and kicks the door in the middle of the night. Says the English don't like the Indians. The only Indians the English like are the Gurkhas. The Gurkhas cut people's heads off, so that makes them the salt of the earth. We were going by the office, and Mr. Parlane calls me in and says he's heard from Wakefield and there's still no trace of my records. Foreman, dinner supervisor, lollipop man, I must have left some trace. Was I sure I got the digits right? So I reeled the number off again. He said, "All right, we'll try Pontefract, Wilfred, but it's been 6 months now." I went the long way round, pushing me bike. Just one kiddie, by herself on the swings. Kiddie black, mother white. Having a cig, watching. I don't like a cargo of relations, I never have. I wasn't particular to go to the christening. Only Janet wanted to see what the frocks looked like on. And anyway, as she says, who are Barry and Yvonne to look down their noses? Then Martin's been out twice for drunken driving. Slight hiccup round the font. Because since Martin hasn't actually managed to turn up, they're short of a godfather. Yvonne wants to go ahead without, but the young lad who's in charge says that though he personally is very relaxed about it, the church does tend to insist on a full complement of godparents. We're all standing around looking a bit stumped when little Rosalie, who's 7, pipes up and says, "Why can't Uncle Wilfred be it? He's my godfather." Barry, straight off, clouts her. Only the priest, who doesn't look much more than 17 and new to the parish, says, "Would Uncle Wilfred be a possible solution?" I don't say anything at all. Only Yvonne gets in quick. "No, Wilfrid would not be a possible solution because... Janet looks at her. Because they're not currently motorised. The priest lad looks as if he's about to say that wheels aren't part of the job description, when Yvonne spots Grandpa Greenwood, who's just been out to spend a penny. She says, "He'll do." The priest says, "Isn't he a bit on the old side?" Yvonne says, "No, he isn't. He still goes ballroom dancing." So it ends up being him. I said to Janet, "At least baby Lorraine won't have any problems with the military two-step." Afterwards, we adjourned to Sherwood Road, where Pete and Gloria have laid something on. Beer, chiefly, by the looks of it. It's one of those do's where all the women end up in one room and the men in another. Kiddies all over the place, though. What with Pete's Alsatian plunging around, sheer bedlam. That's irresponsible, in my view, a dog of that size when there are kiddies about. One snap and they're scarred for life. Lot of larking about with the children. Barry throwing his two in the air until they screamed, then pretends to throw one to me, but doesn't. Ginger Tash. Big fingers. Does a bit of decorating now and again. Was in a remand home when he was young. Then Pete starts in with his so-called jokes. "Now then, which would you rather have, Wilf? One woman with £1,000 or 1,000 women with £1? Else neither," says Barry. I saw him wink, but I didn't take on. I thought I'd go and help wash up. Only no sooner were all the women in the kitchen than Janet asked to embark on the saga of her womb. How we could have had children, only the angle of it was wrong. Yvonne chips in, "It's not your angle, love, it's his that matters." There's a lot of smutty laughter, so I go out and sit on the back step. Little Rosalie's playing in the yard, throwing her ball against the wall, clapping her hands, lifting her leg and throwing it under, all that. When she stops, she comes and sits on the step. I said, "I think that deserves a sweet, Rosalie," and give her a licorice all sort. Suddenly there's a banging on the window and Yvonne bursts through the door, grabs hold of the kiddie. "I told you, madam." Starts laying into her, clawing the sweet out of her mouth. The dog's barking, the kiddie's crying. The old man has an accident. They're all shouting. So anyway, we came away. Janet doesn't say anything. Only when we get to the bus stop, she says, "I don't want to have to be flitting again. If you made a decision never to buy another licorice all sort, it'd be a step in the right direction." So I promised. Anyone who wants to make a fortune should invent something that'll erase the stuff they write up. There's a plaque on the wall by the fountain. This park was opened July the 17th, 1936, by the Right Honourable the Earl of Harwood, KG, TD. So eat shit, some bright spark sprayed across it. With the result, I'm over there all morning with me brasso and me wire brush. Think of it as a labour of love, Mr. Patterson, Parlane said. The present one's the music lover. I said, who? The Earl of Harwood. Father married the old Princess Royal. He hangs about a bit. Then eventually, he says, had I got a minute? And he hoped I wouldn't take it amiss, but had I been in prison? I said, no, what would I have been in prison for? He said he'd no idea, it's just that when records go walkabout, as mine plainly had, that was often the case. I said, well, it isn't the case in this case, thank you very much, and was my work unsatisfactory? He said, no, far from it, the place has never looked so tidy. You, Mr. Patterson, are a textbook example of why we went performance-related. But you're also an example of somebody who has eluded all the fielders and ended up in the long grass, bureaucratically speaking. But don't you worry, Gordon Parlane will make it his personal mission to retrieve you. It started spitting this afternoon, so I thought I'd keep out of the rain and sweep up the bandstand. Young woman there again, the kiddie. I'd seen them once or twice now. Poor looking, eating chips from a carton. She said, are we all right sitting here? I said, that's what it's for, visitors. She said, we often come. The council's put us in bed and breakfast, only the hotel's got proper people too, so they don't like us around during the day. Samantha hates it, don't you, Samantha? The kiddie came and offered me a chip. You're privileged, the mother said. She's frightened of men generally. Won't go near her father. Mind you, neither will I. Bonny little thing. Only her mother's put her some earrings in, stud things, and one in her little nose, and she can't be more than 7. I wonder the law lets them do it, 'cause that's interference in my view. Ornamenting your kiddies, hanging stuff on them as if they were Christmas trees. I'm sweeping up the rubbish, and I pretend to sweep her up too. So the kiddie starts screaming with laughter. Oh, the mother said, I think you've clicked. What is this place? I said, what place? This shelter thing. I said, it's a bandstand. The band used to play here once upon a time. She said, what band? You mean like a group? The kiddie came and stood by my knee. Yes, I said. She said, where did the fans go? In the bushes? And she laughed. The kiddie laughed and put her hand on my leg. It stopped raining, I said, I'd better get on. She threw the chip carton down. She said, we'll see ya. Wave to the man, Samantha. Wave. I was pushing my barrow back. There's a policeman hanging about the fountain. He said he was just showing the flag and he'd be obliged if I'd keep an eye open for any undesirable elements. I said, drugs, you mean? Drugs, whatever, men sitting too long on benches type thing. Parks make for crime. This beats a bugger. He was just going and he said, pardon me asking, but didn't you used to work at the Derby Baths? I said, no, why? He said, no, it's nothing. Your face is familiar. My two got their bronze medals there. Anyway, I won't detain you, particularly since our Asian friend appears to be waiting. Pushing his barrow back, Mr. Kumar is all smiles 'cause his wife's arrived. They took off all her clothes at the airport, but otherwise he said it was all as easy as falling off a log. I'm a very happy man. They're sly, Janet said. Probably after your job. I said, what for? His brother, his uncle, his nephew, they're all the same. Anyway, she said, I got my promotion. Back now to the same grade I was before. Keep this up a bit longer, Wilfred. We may be able to run to a car again soon. Bit of excitement this morning. Body in the bushes. Little lad found it when he was looking for his ball. Old man. One of the winos, probably. 2 police cars, an ambulance. More fuss made of him dead than there ever was alive. The child not worried at all. The mother hysterical. All over by 10:30 and we were soon back in go mode. Drizzle included. I was heading for the tennis courts, trying to stay clear of the bandstand. Only Trickett shouts after me, "Patterson, I don't want you skulking back there. The bandstand's in a disgusting state." Somebody'd thrown up all over the seat. I'd just about got it cleared up when the girl's calling out and the kiddie comes running in with her little pink plastic handbag thing. "Samantha's got a present for you, haven't you, Samantha? Give it to Mr. What's your name?" The child's holding her arms out to be lifted up. "Hargreaves," I said. "My name's Hargreaves." "Give it to him, Samantha." And she takes out a daffodil from her little handbag and we put it in my buttonhole. She picked it herself, the mother said. "My name's Debbie." And they sit and watch while I go on clearing up. She said, "You're a bit too nice for this job, aren't you? You look as if you should be doing something a bit more upmarket, a traffic warden or something." I said, "I like being outside." The kiddie was pretending to help me sweep up again. "Didn't used to be like this," I said, "all scribbled over and stuff written up." "Oh," she says, "I like the lived-in look. Cans and litter and that. You don't want it too clinical. Anyway, it's all litter basically, isn't it? Leaves is litter, soil. We like it, don't we, Samantha?" I said, "Why'd you put them earring things in?" She said, "They're studs." "I don't see why she shouldn't have all the advantages other kids have. She's as good as anybody else. Don't you like 'em?" I said, "No, Debbie, I do like 'em." After a bit, she said, "Did I like her?" I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, we keep running into one another." I said, "You won't get Samantha tattooed, will you?" She said, "Oh, no, not until she's old enough to make her own decisions. That's part of her life choices, isn't it?" "Did the fountain used to go?" I said, "Yes. When I was a boy, the fountain went, the band played, people kept off the grass. It was lovely. Mr. Kumar comes by and says I have to call in at the office when it's convenient. He smiles at the girl, but she doesn't take on. "I don't care for Asians," she said. "They're neither one thing nor the other, in my opinion." I went straight along to the office, only it turns out to be nothing. Pa Lane's got some new idea about chasing me up on the computer. "I'm going to fax all your details over to Thorpe Arch. Tell them Wakefield's been playing silly buggers," which they're always happy to hear, "and get them as a personal favour to me to beam you up nationally. And if that doesn't work, even Gordon Parlane's going to have to admit defeat." Coming out, I ran into Mr. Trickett. "Oh," he said, spotting my buttonhole. "Been picking flowers now, Patterson?" I said, "Somebody had broken it off." He said, "I don't know why we bother. They don't want gardens, they want their hands chopping off. I'd decapitate them, let alone the bloody daffodils. Anyway, get rid of it, it gives the wrong message." They were still hanging about when I went back. "Mr. Hargreaves has lost his buttonhole," Debbie said. And the kiddie starts crying. Only when I lift her up, she stops. On my way home, I called in at the sweet shop. Janet's just been down, apparently. Left a clean vest and stuff at the desk. I said she wasn't allowed to speak to me at this stage. She said she didn't want to anyway. It was the rain that did it, because I'd given the bandstand a wide berth all week. Only this morning Trickett comes into the yard and says it's all flooded. And wasn't it typical? One drop of rain and the whole place grinds to a halt. Told me to get some rods and try and locate the problem. So I trundled down there, and it's one of the grates that's stopped up. And I'm just getting my arm down to feel what the stoppage was when Samantha comes running along by the railings. Puts her little face between the bars. I said, "Hello, you in prison?" She said, "No, I've got an umbrella." And she shows me her baby umbrella. The mother's all cross and pulls her out of the puddle. "Are you going to be here long? Because I've got to go and see my social worker woman. Can I leave her with you for half an hour? She likes you, she won't be any bother." I said, "Why can't you take her with you?" She said, "Because her dad'll be there, and if he sees her, he'll want to keep her." Go on. I was going to say no. Only I didn't have to, because just then Pa Lane appears and says he wants a word, and they clear off, leaving me with my arm down the drain. Suddenly I feel the culprit, and it's 2 or 3 condoms, all mixed up with leaves, plugging up the pipe. So I pull the lot out, and all the dammed up water just empties away. "Success," I said to Pa Lane, and show him the bundle. "Problem solved." He said, "No, not entirely. Would you step along to the office for a minute or two? And bring your barrow?" It was Trickett who gave me my cards. Said I'd made several false statements, so I'd better not have any silly ideas about wrongful dismissal, and had I thought about bringing the Parks Department into disrepute, let alone anything else. Pa Lane hung about outside. When I went out, he said, "What about working in an old people's home? Or even a mortuary, somewhere out of harm's way where I couldn't do any damage?" "Because you're a good worker, Wilfred, you really are." I went out the playground way. Empty, with it being wet. Just a woman and a baby. I think she's a childminder. Only suddenly Samantha comes running out from behind the seesaw and gets hold of my hand. I said, "Where's her mother?" The woman said, "She's gone over to the social. She should be back by now. I've got to go. Can I leave her with you?" I said, "No." Debbie said I could. She'd be back in a minute. Let her go on the slide. She likes the slide. She wouldn't go on the slide because it was all wet. So we went and sat in the shelter. I had my hand on my knee. She put hers on top of it. And I put mine on. Then she topped it off with her hand, and we played that game for a bit. Sandwiches, she called it. Then I pretended to go to sleep. Only she got on the seat and tried to open my eyes with her little fingers. Kept wanting to hold my hand, but I wouldn't. Her little hand kept pecking away at my hand, like a little bird trying to get in. Only my hand was a fist, honest. Tight, she couldn't get in. "There's nothing in there for you," I said. "I haven't got anything for little girls. My shop's closed." "No, it's not," she said. and slipped her little finger in between my fingers and wiggled it about. Then she looks at me and laughs. Then she laughs again. She knew what she was doing. She must have known what she was doing. So I took her in the bushes. I said she wanted to show me her dance. Her mother said, "What dance? She doesn't have a dance." Someone shouts out, "You'll dance." They fetched me in and out the back way under a blanket. Women there shouting. Something hit me on the head. They said in the van it was a packet of cornflakes. And coins as well. What they have in their shopping bags. They have to ravel it all out in words. Then what did you do? Then what? As if there was a plan. As if I meant to go from A to B. Well, the council said, you bought the sweets, you gave the wrong name. I said to the young policewoman, it's what I thought she wanted. That's what men always say, she said. Choose how old you are. Perhaps it would be easier, the judge said, if Samantha came up here. So she went and stood by his knee and held his hand. I thought, well, that's what I'm here for. I asked for several other offences to be taken into consideration. Some of them in Huddersfield, where I'd never even been. The police said it didn't matter because it meant they could close the books on lots of cases. It would go in my favour. It didn't. They just said my record proved I was a hopeless case. The judge said I'd be given treatment. I haven't been given any treatment. They put me on my own to stop the others giving me the treatment. The getting scolded in the kitchen treatment. The piss in your porridge treatment. The doctor said, did anybody touch you when you were little? I said, I don't want any of that stuff. No, they didn't. If they did, it's done. Anyway, they tell you to touch people now. They run courses in it. Not like that, he says. Janet's been. Usual tack, blames the mothers. Says if they can't look after them, they don't deserve to have kiddies in the first place. All her daffodils uprooted. Her plant pots broken. Next stop, Newcastle, probably. Mr. Kumar. Says I miss you, Mr. Patterson. I miss our walks with our barrows and brushes. You're the untouchable now. And he pats my hand. Says he's gone up one rung on the ladder. Is an attendant at the art gallery. No condoms to speak of, he said. No sick on the floor. And on the walls, all the beautiful ladies and landscapes of Leeds. I tell you, Mr. Patterson, it is a cushy number. When they put me away last time, I thought when I got out I'd go somewhere right away. A shed in the middle of a moor. Fence it round with railway sleepers and get myself a bad dog and be a recluse. Only the kiddies would know. They'd come. The prison must be near a station. I hear the trains on a night. And a school somewhere. They have a playtime at 11:15, and they come out at 4. It's the one bit of my life that feels right. And that's the bit that's wrong. Men groan and cry out, scream and shout in the night, like a tropical forest. Wild beasts. I didn't foist them off like grown-ups do. I looked at them. I listened to them. Sometimes there's a plane crosses the top left-hand corner of my window. And I imagine the no smoking signs going on. The seats put back in the upright position. And the pilot beginning his descent into Leeds and Bradford Airport. I used to go hiking when I was a boy. Over Nidderdale moors. A reservoir. That'd be the place. Nobody there at all.